Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the DaveCast. This is, what is it, episode 103? I was going to, not even talk about what episode it is anymore. I hit 100, and now it's just I'm going to continue numbering them as a reference to kind of, so people can kind of see where they're at and stuff. I feel like you get confused. People are easily confused nowadays, right? I know I am. Huge shout out to a couple people, and I know I do shout outs at the beginning, and I'll probably double it up a little bit, but these people are starting podcasts, and I'm like, man, you guys, people should have started podcasts a lot sooner. Not only does it, I think it's therapy for you, it's therapy for me to sit down and just talk and get whatever's on my mind out, because that's just the kind of person I am. I've been through therapy, I've been through treatment, and those are the things that really help me a lot, and maybe you're not that kind of person. Maybe you're like, dude, I will never record myself and put it out there for everybody to hear. I think I sound dumb. I think I look dumb. Well, I do too, man. But this is like my medicine. This is like my thing, dude. I love it. I love sitting down and getting a podcast out. I feel accomplished. I feel like I got it. Even if it's terrible or it's dumb or I think the content is just stupid or I talk about politics too much, it is what it is, man. People don't have to listen to it. They can be like, he's talking about politics too much or whatever. They can turn it off and wait for the next one or just find another podcast, man. There's so many podcasts out there, interesting podcasts, informative podcasts. Find one and listen to it. I feel like I love podcasts, you guys. My buddy Mark Bush, I think I mentioned it on the last one, Perspectives with Mark Bush and Friends. He's on Spotify. He's on iTunes and probably a couple other platforms. Definitely give his a listen. I was in the military with Mark, and he has really cool outlook on things. And I haven't listened to it yet. I've been meaning to. I listen to so many podcasts. I got to try to catch up, and I'm definitely gonna give it a listen. My buddy Chad Ditch that I was in the military with, I was deployed with him to Qatar. I was his kennel master, and I've always liked the dude. I thought he was really cool. He just had a cool style to him, and he's funny. He started a podcast, and his is called On the Table, and he's just going to talk about a lot of interesting topics, as that's what he says. He's got 3 episodes out. I still haven't listened to that one either. I am going to. Maybe after this, I'll sit down and give one of them a listen. They both seem like they're pretty short podcasts, and I'm just excited for people to get it out there. Like I said, it's a way of therapy. I think it's such a cool thing that someday my distant ancestors, distant or what is it when it's farther ahead? My future ancestors are going to be able to sit down and listen. Like, man, I wish I had recordings of my grandpa Bert, my great grandpa Joe, my grandpa Tyne, just sit down and talk with them about whatever was on their mind, how they felt. There's some cool, funny stories. Joel Splinter keeps bugging me about having my dad on the podcast. I don't know how he do, but I definitely need to get my dad on here and just shoot the shit about coon hunting stories and what life was like for him growing up in the 60s and 70s, and he's been through a lot. My dad's done a lot of he's been divorced a few times, and he's been down the road, and I'm definitely my father. I'm my dad. I'm my mom trapped in my dad's body. I say that all the time, and it's so true. Everybody's like, you look like your dad so much. You sound like your dad. I know I do. Leave me alone. What are you doing? That's my impression of my father. But what I'm getting at is these podcasts, man. It's even if you don't get sponsors and get paid and get a bunch of people to listen necessarily, man, you are archiving and making just some cool content for relatives to sit down and listen to. Like I said, I'd be so cool to sit down and hear my grandparents or my great-great-grandparents or grandparents I never even knew talking, and just to hear their perspective on things. And I'm excited that it's something I'm doing, man. Someday, hopefully, my grandkids can sit down and listen to all 1,000 episodes, because I'm going to get there, man. I'm going to get there. Maybe I can have my grandkids on my podcast someday. How cool would that be? I'm excited. I know Tristan Robbins' son has been on the podcast a couple times. I've had Robin's been on. I've had Carter was on an episode. I bugged Davey. I don't know if Davey will want to do it, but I can get Davey on. I bugged him a little bit. Kelsey and Caden I want to get them on too. They're seniors in high school this year, and their perspective on America is completely different than probably ours. Like I want to know what's going on in the minds of these kids. Like when I was in high school, I wasn't into politics and this and that, and you didn't get to hear about it that much. You got to hear what your family or grandparents or whatever your circle was talking about at the time. But now I get to, we get to social media and everything is thrown in our face, whether it's manipulated or not or processed information. These guys, they kind of have no choice but to see kind of what's going on or whatever. I think my mic cut out there for a second. If you're watching the video, I'm sorry. Doing my best. But so you guys start a podcast. Think about it. Even do this, man. Sit down and make recordings, and you don't have to publish them anywhere. I mean, you might want to save them online somewhere, in a cloud or anywhere, or I would say to a computer or hard drive. But that shit'll crash, and you could lose it all. Like just like a video, not a video, an audio journal. Think of it that way, or just do a journal and write it out. But I feel like it'd be so much cooler for your future people, relatives, whoever is going to listen to it. They get to hear your voice and they get to hear the emotion behind it and stuff. So, dude, is that crazy that my solo cast, it's just me all the time by myself. The niche of it is pretty much me starting a podcast. How weird, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I talk about MMA, we talk politics, we talk whatever, man. I talk about PTSD, depression, anxiety, mental health disorders and stuff like that. I don't even know if that be a niche, mental health disorders. I am a mental health disorder. But there's a bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about today. And I'm right now, as I'm talking, wasting time, just trying to figure out what it was. Do notes, Dave. I have a notebook. I need to get back to this. Writing out my ideas I used to write like comedy stuff. Like if anytime I'd think of a topic that I thought I could dissect down into some jokes, I used to write it down. I used to write stuff down that I'd have ideas for the podcast, and I got away from it. And I feel like with my memory, I've been hitting the head way too much. I got PTSD. Even my dad has a terrible memory. I remember growing up. I remember my dad's terrible memory. And it's just like genetically, I'm screwed in that department. So I need to get back to writing stuff down. I really do. But what else? So since I am a big pro weed guy, right? I smoked weed. Didn't smoke weed in high school at all. Didn't really care for it. I smoked a couple times. Didn't like how it made me feel. I get cotton mouth. I'm like, fuck, am I cutting weight again? Like I didn't really care for it. Got out of the military while I was in college. Smoked a couple, these guys I was in school with were like, hey man, do you want to smoke weed? And I went and tried it, I had nothing to lose. I wasn't getting tested for a job. Yes, it was illegal. I could have went to jail, blah, 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 blah. But from there on out, man, it was like, whoa, like, there is the level of anxiety, the paranoia, but it's like, it was like it put me in and this is going to sound really dramatic for weed because it's just fucking weed, but it would put me in almost like an alternate dimension, right? So like I go to Walmart high and it was just different. One, you got to struggle through the whole paranoia of worrying if like, you're like, oh man, everybody thinks I'm high. Well, fucking half the people at Walmart are probably high on something. And it was just like, you get a different perspective of things. Things are funnier, obviously. You just see, it's like you see and notice things and you absorb it like that you normally wouldn't, right? So I really enjoyed weed. Had to cut it out when I went to get jobs after welding school. I've probably talked about this a little bit before on here. I haven't got into my weed use a bunch, and I want to now. I want to be real with you guys and talk about that stuff. And I was nervous about it before because I got to stop putting my hand in front of the fucking thing. I was nervous about it before because I did have jobs that I could lose and stuff. And was I smoking while I was working those jobs? I was, and I made smoking a problem in my life. It was a big part of me going to treatment. Still clean and sober. Still hating every minute of it. I'm just kidding. I want to drink, I want to smoke, and it's like I can't. I just knowing me and my addictive personality is something I can't handle right now, especially not working, being at home, the boredom, and I can tell myself like, okay, just have a couple drinks this weekend or only drink when there's like a social event. Like I get together with some friends to watch like UFC fights or something, have a couple drinks. Knowing me, it doesn't work that way, man. I wish it did. But I'm just sitting here bored at home, and I have no reason to not make myself a drink as soon as I wake up in the morning. Smoking, same thing, man. I can be like, only smoke on the weekends. That's how it started with me before. Is I got some weed, and I'm like, I'm only gonna smoke on the weekends in the evenings and just watch TV or hang out. And it helped me sleep. Like I didn't sleep good. I was a really restless sleeper, and once I started smoking weed, it was like, dude, I don't have nightmares. I don't have weird dreams. I just, and I fall asleep right away. Like it was a big thing for me, and that's one of my huge justifications for weed. And I, I went from smoking just on the weekends, here and there, to as soon as I got home from work, man, I'd go to the garage and smoke up. And I know a lot of people live this way, and they're fine with it, and they function. It's not hurting them or their family. Yes, they could get in trouble with the law if it's not legal where they're at, but I have no problem with it. If that's your thing, if you're high all the time, as long as you're functional and living your life and this and that, and that was another justification. I wasn't I wasn't missing days of work or like alcoholics, man. Like you can't. It's hard to be an alcoholic and be functional. It's like something's gonna happen where you're gonna crash financially. It hurt me a little financially. I probably could have been saving more money. Some of the money I was spending on it, I could have been using that to go see Carter or using it to pay off debt and this and that. And so financially, it was an issue for sure. But eventually, man, it came to the point where I'd smoke before work, during work. That's the shit I don't, you're scared to admit. I mean, I don't work there anymore. I can't get in trouble for it now. And it's like, and I always told myself, like, if you smoke, if it becomes such an issue that you got to do it, if you go to work high, that's a fucking problem. And I go to work at a place that you got to make sure, you're safe. We operate forklifts and this and that. And the funny part is like, it would make me extra careful, if that makes any sense. Like I know, like, okay, you're high right now. You can't fucking crash. You can't do this. You can't do that. You're going to hurt somebody. Believe it or not, it made me made me more paranoid that I needed to keep my shit in line, or else, the repercussions of it would be huge. You crash or hurt somebody, you're going to get drug tested and you're going to lose your job. You go to jail. Like some crazy shit could happen. So, but it got to the point, man, where when I was hitting rock bottom, you guys, it was all day, every day. And like the amount was ridiculous. And then I started drinking on top of it. It's like I just couldn't get high enough. I couldn't, I needed something else. I didn't have a pain pill problem, but after my neck surgeries, I would get painkillers, and I would definitely abuse them and not take as many as I needed, So I'm not gonna admit to any of the other illegal shit I did. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could just I went down a crazy path that people were probably like, "Holy shit, dude, you really went there?" And it's like, yeah. I went there, man, and huge shout outs to my sister and Robin for realizing that I wasn't going to pull out of that spiral by myself, and I needed to go to treatment. I needed help, and thank you to the VA, man. I get to go to this amazing treatment in St. Cloud, and you guys heard the podcast. Those are like some of my biggest podcasts, and the most views or most listens are the treatment ones, and I don't know if people were just curious to see what's going on with me. Curious why I was in treatment. Some people thought like I got on heroin and meth or something. Nah. I stay away from that hard shit, man. And I get just... But the funny thing is, when you're in that low point of your life, man, if somebody put it on the table, and at that point, I didn't care if I lived or died. So it was like, I'm just glad I wasn't in that circle. Could I have got on the fucking meth and heroin train? Maybe. I totally could have, just knowing where my state of mind was at that time. I'm glad I didn't. But I got the help I needed. Clean and sober over a year now. Do I want to drink? Do I want to smoke? Of course I do. Bad. But I don't. And will there become a time, will there be a day where I can try to, like, start smoking again and keep it just like a not everyday all day thing? We'll see, man. Maybe I can't. Maybe I fucking ruined drugs and alcohol for myself because I couldn't fucking be responsible enough to not abuse it. But, and they say, like, the longer you're clean and sober, the better it gets, the easier it gets. And maybe just me, clear-headed. I don't see it now because I'm in fucking pain. But maybe, in the long run, I'll look back and be like, dude, clear-headed Dave, sober Dave is the better Dave, I went to the gym last night and held some mitts for people. I gave some, I sit back and I watch, and I know I'm the jiu-jitsu guy, but I've done a lot of kickboxing and boxing in my day. And I definitely like to give some input. These guys are really new. They're all really green at boxing and fighting. And it's like, I got all this knowledge, man. And I like to share it. I like to pass it along, man. Like when I was them at their point, the point that they're at now, man, I loved when somebody gave me pointers. Even if it was something I thought was stupid or didn't like, it's like, I listened to everybody who gave me these pointers, you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be in the fight game. For you guys, man, when you're at work, and it doesn't matter if they're new, if they're a veteran at the job you've been at, or they've been there for a year or 30 years, like, people can always give you decent advice. Don't ever turn down advice of any kind. It ain't gonna hurt you, man. You just take that and you put it in your toolbox. And at the time, you might have thought it was dumb advice, but later on, you're like, holy crap. I remember when he told me that, and I was like, well, that guy's stupid. But you could, you know what I mean? And then you're like, holy shit, that's like really, that's really good advice. And then there's advice I got later on in my fighting career, and at work, where it's like, dude, if I would have known that like a year ago, or if I would have known that earlier in my career, it could have helped me a lot. Bumping the mic. So, the gym last night, like I said, I got in there, got to coach a little bit. There's a guy, Alejandro. I love that name. I don't know, Alejandro. What was that? Was it a Lady Gaga song? I don't know. But anyway, tall, lanky guy. He's just awkward. He's got an awkward boxing style, but he generates a lot of power. And I was holding mitts for him last night, and it was a good. It was good training, but then he asked me, he's like, "Are you still wanting to teach people jiu-jitsu?" And I'm like, that is why I'm here, man. And I'm like, yeah, after we get done doing our rounds of circuit training and stuff, let me know, and we'll go upstairs. And he came up to me again later, and he was like, hey, are you still down to do something? I'm like, let's go, bro. And me and him went upstairs, and I shouldn't be rolling, I know, but I was like, all right, dude, let's go, bro, let's start. And I slapped his hand and just grabbed him, and I kind of tossed him around. I took his back right away. Like, he doesn't really know much at all. The cool part is that he tried. He kept doing something. Some people, they don't do anything, and I'm always like, that's my big thing, is like, you don't want me to act first. Like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I've been grappling and wrestling for a long time. Like, don't let me, you got to react. You got to do something. And if you go one way and you get choked out, well, then next time you learn from it. You might get choked out a few times going the wrong way, but eventually your body, or you tell yourself, like, okay, last time I went right, when I rolled right, Dave took my back and choked me out. Now if I roll left or turn into him, he didn't choke me out this time. This time he armbarred me, but now next time I know when I turn that into him, I got to keep my elbows tucked. You know what I could do? I just fucking smacked the shit out of my fucking pop filter. You guys like this pop filter? So pretentious, right? I don't know if I need it. I think I sound a little better. I pop my P's a little too much, I think. Anyway, so it was cool that he hit me up, Well, that we start rolling, and it just like I knew he didn't know anything, and I felt like I'd be okay. The problem with beginners is they'll grab your neck and crank on your neck, and I got to be ready for that and just be ready to tap out. But I wasn't trying to roll hard or fast. It was going to be a learning experience. So when I took his back right away, I was like, this is how, when someone takes their back, First thing is protect your neck. Your neck is protected right away. It doesn't matter, you know. And then work on getting the hooks out. Work on this and that. Don't get flattened out. I was just giving him all these pointers and stuff. And it was the funny part is he started learning really fast, and it was really cool. And he's a long, lanky guy. I showed him some triangle stuff, and that was really about it. And it made my night though. I love grappling and jiu-jitsu so much that I love to share it. I love when people are interested in it. It really made my day. And it was good, man. Am I sore today? Fuck yeah, I'm so sore today. And I get super sore just from holding pads for people, like pop, 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 pop. The impact on me and stuff. And I don't think I can hurt myself anymore. I'm all fused up and this and that. But obviously I'm not gonna spar. I'm not gonna roll with people that are gonna crank on my head and my neck. So I just gotta be really safe and just really, take it easy. And even when I take it easy, like the next day I'm so sore. So does that tell me like I just got to keep going in and keep doing it? Or do I got to, ease back a little bit? That's hard for me, because I want to get in there and I love it so much that it's like I push through the pain because I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the time, you know? And I think like, it was, like when you're a really physical person and you got to take a step back. I know I talk about this all the time, but you got to take a step back and become the coach. Tat, a fighter that I know, he's the big fighter in the area. He never made it to like the big time, but like he fought on LFA, and he fought some big fights in the area and stuff, and he was somebody I always looked up to and loved to watch him fight. Shout out to you, Tat. I doubt you listen to my podcast. But he started his own gym and stuff, and I've given him shout outs before. Well, he's hitting that point where he's just like, man, it sucks when you physically can't do the thing you love anymore. And dude, I'm like, dude, I've been there. It sent me to rock bottom. You got to find a way to deal with it, man. Like me, I look back on it now and I should have stayed way more involved with when I was at Map Fitness, when I was at Progressive Martial Arts, to stay involved and just be around those people, But it's like being like a kid in a candy store, a kid in a toy store, and you don't get to touch anything. It's like, man, I'm there, and it bummed me out to a point, but I needed to push through that and realize that I needed to stick around. I need to stop by PMA one of these days and just say hi to everybody. I don't know why. I just stay away. And the only reason I started going to Forks Fighters and training with Vic and the guys, because Vic reached out to me and he was like, dude, we got guys here that want to do MMA and you're the man. And it was like, me and Vic used to butt heads at MAP about, certain strategy and the way we train. And, but it's always been love. We always gave each other a lot of shit, and it's been nothing but love between me and him, and I know that. And I know how he operates. He likes to give shit, but like him reaching out to me, it was like something I needed so bad. And to just get out of the fucking house and go do something other than sit here and play video games with my brother, It was great, man, and I'm glad he reached out. Ken he's never really reached out too much, but he's always told me the door's open. Come in, stop by, say hi. He won't let me train, which good. He shouldn't let me train because I've made that mistake before. But this stimulator implant, February 24th, I have a consultation with pain management here in Grand Forks, and they're going to do an x-ray to see if the connections they got to put in me, if I have like good space and good room for it, and see if I'm a good candidate. And we're going to go from there. So hopefully I am, and I can get that implant put in. They're going to do a trial run, and we'll see if that will make me feel better, man. The funny part is like I was trying to transition into the weed talk into what South Dakota's got going on right now. For those of you who don't know, or do know, South Dakota voted in on a 54% margin recreational and medical marijuana all in the same bill, and it passed. The vote passed. It got voted in. So the people spoke and said, this is what we want. Well, Kristi Noem, the governor of South Dakota, love her or hate her, I think a lot of people love her right now because she really is about, and the funny thing is like almost hypocritical, she's about freedom, and she's about people like still keeping their businesses open and doing what they got to do to just be free. Just keep doing what you want to do, right? The government shouldn't be able to stop you from doing anything unless it's hurting somebody else. And that's how I feel about drugs. If you want to smoke weed or do crack, whatever, as long as you're not hurting anybody else, you should be free to put whatever you want in your body. If you want to fucking kill yourself with drugs, it's your life. It's your choice, right? And hopefully you have a circle and you have family and stuff that can step in and help you decide whether you should do it or not. But if it's all you, man, if that's what you want to do it. As long as it's not hurting anybody else. You know, I don't condone like fucking doing drugs and like killing yourself, just rotting away with drugs. But I'm all about freedom, you know, and that's what she was supposedly all about, freedom. And then now she appointed this judge to overturn the bill or whatever and saying it's unconstitutional. And I just read about it and I can't even remember what I read. I do remember a little bit. It was just that this bill alters the law and all this stuff, so the state constitution so much that it becomes unconstitutional or something. The weed people are going to appeal it. And I don't know, man. I feel like if your people voted it, man, you're gonna really piss off a lot of people. And I was really surprised that it got voted in. South Dakota is a very, very conservative state, but it just shows you that the times are changing. I think it just needs to be federally legal. I think all drugs need to just be fucking legal. Regulate it, tax it, make some money, for real. End with some politics, right? You guys want to end with a little bit of politics? You guys know I try to be, is it bipartisan, both sides. I try to look at everything with an open mind about it. And I'm starting to not like the Democrats. Just Joe Biden, man. Like, people keep sharing the craziest shit, you know, and I haven't looked into it enough. Really, like the executive order stuff, like what he's signing over. I know people talk about he's losing jobs. Or the oil people lost their jobs. Gas prices are going to go up. He's doing a bunch of shit with Israel right now. And like, it's like Israel's the bad guy. Like anti-Semitism shit. The videos of him fucking sniffing and touching little girls. It's like, there's no doubt in my mind, if that guy had the chance to fuck a 14-year-old girl or whatever, I don't know if his dick gets hard anymore. Whatever he would do, you know, if he had the chance to molest a 14-year-old girl, he would do it if nobody found out. He'd get rid of the body, whatever he does. I'm just kidding. Sort of. But I seriously believe that. The guy is, and this is our fucking president. This is the number one dude. This is the guy running the fucking, I don't think it's the best country in the world anymore. I'll say it, dude. I fucking blood, sweat, and tears for this country. You know, I sacrificed a lot. My mental health. It's gone. Maybe I didn't have mental health already. Doesn't matter. But man, this guy should not be our president. Should Trump be our president? Probably not. We can't find a fucking better person to run this country or help run the country. You know, there's such checks and balances. They don't run it necessarily. We're at a weird time, man. Weird time. Speaking of fucking fighting for our country, Joe Rogan had Mark Smith. He's a UFC referee. He was a pilot for the Thunderbirds, and that's really cool because I got to do a lot of training at Creech Air Base in Las Vegas. I was an instructor there. I actually went through the course a couple different times. And while you're there, it is the training area for the Thunderbirds. And the Thunderbirds are a fighter jet. They do they perform at air shows and stuff and do really cool, crazy acrobatic shit. And I need to figure out a different microphone setup, maybe more. I don't know. But anyway, it was really cool to watch them. Well, this guy was a fighter pilot. He was on the Thunderbirds. He worked in the White House for a while. He's done a lot, and the guy is fucking cool as shit. Well, him being in the Air Force, they were talking about like requirements to be like a fighter pilot and this and that. And Joe Rogan was like, well, do they have like a regiment that you got to follow, like a fitness regimen or whatever? And he's like, you got to pass the Air Force PT test. And they talked about it like it was a serious fucking thing. And I laughed and I made a meme about it. And I thought it was a pretty good meme. I make memes every once in a while, you guys. But like, okay, so Air Force PT test, you have to run 1.5 miles. You have 1 minute to do push-ups and 1 minute to do sit-ups. And then they measure your waist. So it's like your body mass index or whatever. And I'm telling you, by the time I got out, I had to, if I ran like a mile and a half in like 13 minutes and like do 25 push-ups and 25 sit-ups in a minute, like I think I passed. And I feel like anybody who is like in a little bit of shape or just kind of preps himself for this, even like a couple weeks out, could probably pass it. And I don't find it hard at all. I always got like a pretty much 100 on it all the time. I had like this squadron record for a mile and a half until some other kid beat me. Uh, it's not hard. Really, it isn't. And it was just them talking about it like in a serious way. It made me fucking laugh so hard. Something just crossed my mind that I wanted to talk about as well. Was it something to do with the Air Force? Not sure. I've rambled on enough. Rant and rave with Dave. Thank you guys so much for listening to my podcast. Wait for the next one. I'm not on any sort of like thing where I'm putting them out in certain days, and maybe I need to. I feel like it's like when I feel like doing one, when I have the motivation to sit down and record the podcast, I'm going to do it. Oh, shout out. So you're going to hear this in the intro, but shout out to Red Pine Distillery here in Grand Forks, North Dakota. The cool part about it, and that what really made me interested is he uses sugar beets as the sugar base in his wine. Not wine. He makes the hard shit, man. The guy makes whiskeys. He makes, I think it's whiskey, but definitely vodka and liqueurs. I try to be all whatever, but liquors. He had like a rhubarb one that was like pretty cool. He showed me the bottle and stuff. Well, we were there to record this thing for Journey Home Fosters. I think I've talked about him a little bit, but we have Malone right now, and he is a rescue dog. That man, he was wrapped in chains found outside. So the chains being metal gave him freaking really bad frostbite all over his body. Huge abscess in his abdomen where he was either kicked. Maybe he was. They said he was when they found him that there was other dogs messing with him, trying to hurt him. This dog had been through a lot of shit, and we took him in. Well, oh man, I can't think. Tyler, I think is his name. Excuse me if I get it wrong, but the owner of Red Pine Distillery is starting a YouTube channel, and he's already got a YouTube channel. Just look up Red Pine Distillery, and he's starting one called Cocktails and Dogtails, and you're going to see me in the episode because like Robin was too fucking scared to do it. She's like, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. And he fosters, and he fosters for Journey Home as well. So he takes in dogs and whatever. Anyway, he's starting a YouTube channel where he's going to show how to make a drink on the episode. And at the beginning, he's gonna have a dog every couple weeks. When he does one, he's gonna bring a foster dog in and talk about him. And Malone was on the first one, and I got to talk about just what it's like having him and taking him in, and like what he was like when we first got him to now. And he is an amazing dog. He's a sweetheart. He just loves to freaking play. Never stops playing. Like I get down on all fours, and you see him like, oh shit, it's time to play. He come running up and wants to play, man. And he's good, man. He's house trained really well. It's got to be on a leash outside. That motherfucker will take off. And we got to keep them all on leash anyway. Not our dogs. We let our dogs run free. They're good about not going on the road, and they're good about coming back in. But these foster dogs, we can't. Especially Malone. There's a lot of money into him right now, and if something were to happen to him, it would probably piss some people off. So, anyway. Look him up, Red Pine Distillery on YouTube. Look him up on the internet. Find out where he's located in Grand Forks and go buy some booze from him. Seriously, it's such a cool thing. Local business doing the damn thing. It's awesome. I don't even know. Maybe you can order it from his website. I'm not sure how ordering liquor even works, but thank you guys so much for listening. Huge shout outs to Red Pine Distillery, Progressive Martial Arts here in Grand Forks, and Victor's Combat Cardio, located in Forks Fighters here in Grand Forks as well. So thank you guys so much for listening. Start a podcast, you guys. It's easy. Just record yourself. Do an audio journal, whatever. You're going to think you sound dumb. You might. Oh, and Map Fitness. I got my Map Fitness shirt on. Megan's added a bunch of stuff and made huge changes out of Map Fitness. So if you guys are looking for a warehouse gym open 24/7, go check it out, dude. She's got it all. It's an amazing gym, and I feel like people just need to get in the door and see it, and to really understand that it's fucking legit, man. Way better than any of the Anytime Fitnesses or those 24-hour ones where you can't grunt or do whatever. She lets people bring dogs in there, as long as your dogs aren't bugging other people. I'm not sure if she might have changed it or not, but I think she's pretty dog friendly. Take your fucking shirt off, flex in the mirror, whatever, man. So, thank you guys. I changed my gamer tag on Xbox to Average Dad. I thought it sounded kind of funny because a lot of dad, people look, I'm the best dad, or maybe they don't think that. But I'm definitely an average dad. Kids are old enough now. Carter might as well be a million miles away right now with not really having a source of income or a reliable car just to go see him. And we're working on going to see him soon. It's been too long. But Davey and Kelsey's a senior in high school. She works. Hanging out with Dad is like not a big thing. She does come out here and see me every once in a while. They'll come out and see the animals, see the Fosters. Davey, I game with Davey though. Then a new zombie map came out on Black Ops Cold War, and me, Carter, and Davey play on there all the time. So it's like I get to hang out with him just in this weird virtual world. So Average Dad, it's actually AVG Dad, all one word. If you guys want to add me on Xbox, seriously, I'd love to play games with you guys. It's what I do a lot of, and it's what I'm addicted to right now. That and nicotine. My mouth got pretty tore up from chewing, so I switched to vaping, and I think it's terrible. But I gotta have something, you guys. The addict in me, it's terrible, I know. So, thank you guys so much for listening, watching. I really do appreciate it. Till next time. Later. Oh, hit me up. Dave'sPodcast1@gmail.com. Dave's Podcast on Facebook. Dave Helmbrecht on Facebook. I'm still Funny Welder on Instagram and other stuff. So, please. Hit me up. You want to be on the podcast? You want to talk about something on the podcast? I'm working on the remote podcast with my brother. If his dumbass stops being scared of being on the podcast. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time. Later.